Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to make Madeleines. They are little sponge cake cookies, and they're delicious. They're made with a browned butter, some sugar, flour, eggs. Pretty simple, but there is a special technique to them because it is a sponge cake technique. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You begin by taking one stick of unsalted butter, and you're going to brown it. And I will have very specific directions on the web page. When you brown the butter, really keep an eye on it. It can burn very quickly. The advantage to browned butter is the nutty flavor and a number of other things, but the nutty flavor is what I like best. So to this, when you've browned your butter and you have cooled it down, you're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of lemon zest and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And don't forget those two ingredients. They are what flavors these little cookies. So I've got my browned butter. I'm just going to set that aside over here. In another bowl, I want you to take and sift 1 cup of flour with, I think it's 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and set that aside. Then this is where we begin the mixing. So you're going to take 3 eggs, and they must be at room temperature or they will not blend. So make sure you've left them at room temperature. I had to leave them out for about 2 hours to come to room temp because my house is kind of cool. So I've got my 3 eggs right here. I'm going to put them into the big bowl, and to that I'm going to add my 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, just regular granulated sugar. All right. And I'm going to start mixing this. I'll turn it on right now. It's kind of just to get it blended together a little bit. And in a minute, I am going to turn this up to about medium high, and I'm going to whip it until it's light and fluffy and looks like ribbons. You'll see the difference. It won't be this dark yellow. It'll be a much lighter yellow. But that's going to take a few minutes and makes a lot of noise. So we're going to pause right here while I do that. So this looks pretty good. You can see how thick it's become. And when you're moving your beaters around, you can kind of see that you can see the bottom of the bowl. In other words, it's thick enough. It's kind of ribboning off to the sides. I think it's ready. So I'm going to take this out. You know, get hurt here. Put that aside. Yeah, that looks really good. You can see the difference. It's much lighter, much thicker. Yeah, perfect. All right, to this, now, don't do this with a mixer, do this by hand. You're going to take your flour that's mixed with your baking powder and salt, and you're going to add that, and you are going to fold it in. So folding means you're going to turn it into the batter. You kind of want to keep the air. You want to keep the thickness. So just kind of keep twisting, turning your bowl and flipping that flour into it. And that, of course, takes a couple minutes as well. What I'll say while I'm doing this is that in a few minutes, when we finish this batter, you actually will put this in the refrigerator for 4 hours at a minimum. It needs 4 hours at a minimum. You can actually leave it in the fridge for 2 days if you need to, or overnight, that's fine. But you're going to have to refrigerate it for about 4 hours, and I would cover it, of course, so that it doesn't pick up the flavors of the fridge. And then when you're ready to bake, make sure you've taken a few minutes aside to grease and lightly flour your Madeleine pan. And Steve can show you the Madeleine pan right here that I have already prepared. So there's the Madeleine pan, and it's lightly greased and floured. I just use butter to grease it. Okay, here's our batter. Oh, this is really beautiful. Look at this batter. Now we're going to confuse the whole issue, which is kind of against what we usually do, right? We're going to add the butter. It's the last thing you add. The butter with all that wonderful lemon zest. And again, you're going to fold this in and get it thoroughly mixed. And that will take a minute because you can see the fat kind of fights the batter a little bit. But just keep doing it until you've got it all thoroughly mixed in. And then, as I said, cover it with a piece of foil and put it in the fridge and let it sit for 4 hours. And when I come back, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the Madeleines baked. So I'll tell you right now what the process is. You will fill the little cups with about a scoop. You aren't going to level it. You're just going to fill them with about a tablespoon or so, a little scoop, and it will spread out and fill the little Madeleine pan in it. You know, they say to use a medium cookie scoop, and that's exactly what I have. Not all of you have that, so I would say a heaping tablespoon. I mean, a serving spoon, a heaping serving spoon. So here we are. This is the batter. It's absolutely beautiful. You're going to put a heaping serving spoon in each of those little cups, and as it bakes, it will fill out the form, the shape of the shell, the shape of the Madeleine, and bake them at 375. And I believe it's, I think it's for 10 minutes or so. I will get back to you about that. I don't have the timing on it, but they're sponge cakes, so they cook very quickly. So I'm going to do this, and I'll bake some up. And all the directions will, of course, be posted if this isn't clear enough for you. But we'll see you when they're done. Hey, friends. I'm back, and the Madeleines are finished. I had them out of the oven already. I baked them for exactly 12 minutes. That seemed to be the magic number. You want to bake them until you see that, they call it the belly, kind of puffs up. The measurements for putting the amount of dough or batter into the pan, that's a little bit tricky, and you might have to play with that a little bit. So it's not like a cupcake where you can fill it 2/3 full and know that it's going to be perfect. This is a little bit different, and you mound the batter just in the center of it, and it will spread. So sometimes the biggest mistake we make is putting in too much batter. So that's an experiment. You might just have to play with it. But anyway, these turned out absolutely beautiful, and they have a fresh, like, lemony scent. Check this out. I got them out. You know, take your time taking them out of the pan. You're going to cool them for about 2 minutes, and then take them while the pan is still semi-warm. They come out easier that way. And let them cool on a rack over here. And then when you get ready to present them, put them on a plate, sprinkle a little powdered sugar on top, and you've got your Madeleines all set. So good luck with it, and I hope you guys have fun making them. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to connect with me, and we'll meet later this week. Have fun.